Guys, I've heard this argument from a lot of people who play Pokemon games and whatnot. When they lose a trainer battle, they'll say things like, oh, if only my Pokemon were faster or whatever. Being fast is the only thing that sort of matters or whatnot. If I outspeed my opponent, then I would have won. That's one of those things that I hear about like a lot from a lot of people out there playing Pokemon. Not everyone, as I say. Some people actually know that, well, that's not the only key to winning, but certainly speed is a decent thing for certain Pokemon, especially more frail ones and whatnot. But there are a host of Pokemon out there that don't care about having speed, and it's pretty much just counterproductive to try to give them more speed and whatnot, or even speed or evasion or whatnot. Like, because you can just use double team and things like that, which is sort of just cheating around, giving it speed and whatnot. But again, I'm one of those people who think, in a sense, that doing all of this stuff, yes, sure, it's much better to raise your own stats and whatnot than to try to lower your opponents. I'm not one of those people that's into sweeping. Like, it just doesn't work out a whole lot. It can work out, obviously, but you're just so invested into one Pokemon. I get that, soloing runs and some of that stuff is kind of popular and whatnot, so it does happen as well in that regard, mostly as challenges or just as something to be like, oh, well, I'm just going to try this to see how I go. Well, the only way I can go with this is kind of if I do am able to solo things, so I have to raise my speed or I have to raise my attack or whatnot, then obviously it becomes a whole lot better. But, when you have multiple Pokemon, for the most part, just switch, just switch to something else that has a better advantage. And yes, you can't switch all the time and every time and whatnot. But again, like in those circumstances, I think it's just better to switch to a Pokemon for the most part than try to set up or whatnot. I think setting up doesn't do a whole lot. You should just get the Pokemon that has the type advantage for what you're facing for the most part. And of course, Pokemon can learn coverage moves, and coverage moves are very useful and important as well. But I think the thing is, like I was saying about speed, is health and tankiness and whatnot. Those are the things that you should really focus on if you want your Pokemon like that aren't really, fast to survive. Because it's like, well, if I have a Pokemon that has a lot of special defense or even health, or even a combination of the three, then I'm like, well, instead of trying to raise my speed stat, which is ridiculously low perhaps, I'll focus on, okay, cool. What is the Pokemon that I'm facing? Is it a physical or is it a special attacker or whatever? Or maybe I don't care and I'm just going to be like, okay, cool. Well, I can just raise my health to an insane level. That way I'll be much more tanky and can tank more hits or even level up a bit. Like, that can also increase stats. But if I have put more EVs into any of my defensive stats, or even into my bulk or into my health, then that will be much more useful for me, I believe, for the most part, because again, you're not going to get a significant enough speed advantage for a lot of these slower Pokemon. Yes, there are some exceptions, again, but for something like Groudon or whatnot, that's pretty darn slow. It's not incredibly slow, but it's still pretty darn slow, and whatnot. But it's incredibly powerful when it does hit and whatnot. So going second is probably going to happen for a lot of these slower Pokemon and whatnot. So you should expect that and be like, okay, well, I need to tank a hit. That's why Sturdy is so good and so useful sometimes, is because it's like, well, even if something were to one-shot me, at least I can get that shot in on them as well, that parting blow or whatever, and that way, my next Pokemon that will come in after this will have, a bit of easier time to deal with it, or I might get lucky, get a crit, or I might do some significant damage, or if I'm hitting with super effective damage and, my power is enough or whatnot, then hey, I might just take it out. Who knows? But again, if I was to be like, oh, okay, cool, well, do I really need Sturdy or whatnot? If I don't have a Pokemon that has Sturdy, well, then I'm kind of like, well, now I need to actually focus on something that I can actively do that will actively really help me. And yes, I could raise my speed, but raising my speed doesn't do nearly enough. It's probably not going to be high enough ever at any point to be significantly more than what it was. So I'm not going to be able to raise it that much on a slow Pokemon. Yes, there are exceptions. Again, I'm not going to cover every single Pokemon. But for the most part, I would say you would be much better putting those things into your defense, special defense, or just into your health, into your bulk, essentially, so that you can tank those hits that you are weak to when you sometimes need to, and then hope that you've got enough power points, whatnot, etc., to finish off the Pokemon that you're going up against. Now, it's not always going to happen and whatnot, but again, you'll have much more success, I believe, by raising your defensive stats or raising your bulk, your health, as well, rather than trying to raise your speed, because speed's just not going to cut it when your speed's only going to be 5, so, or whatever, so you might as well forget about it and just be like, oh, okay, well, cool. I'm just going to focus on going, okay, well, I'm facing off against a physical attacker or whatnot, or I'm going to face off against a lot of physical attackers or a lot of special attackers, or this is really low on special, defense, or it's really low on that stat in comparison to, its regular defense, so I'll focus on that because it's not as low as what my speed is, but it's much lower than its special defense or its defense, one or the other, whichever. So, yeah, that's pretty much it here. I just wanted to kind of discuss this whole, I guess, misconception that I've seen a lot of people say that speed is the key to victory and whatnot. I don't think it is at all. I certainly think there are some Pokemon that need speed, and you would certainly think that, like, Vikavolt would be much faster than it is, but it's terribly slow. It's such a weird Pokemon. It's even slower than its pre-evolution, which is just, like, huh? How does that work? I don't understand this. This makes no sense. How could you have gotten slower, but now you're in the air? But whatever. That's neither here nor there, or perhaps it's another conversation for another video. But anyway, guys, I hope you guys have enjoyed this. BTW, hit that subscribe if you are enjoying this sort of stuff. Ring that noti bell for me as well. Keeps you updated with all of these videos and whatnot. But other than that, we're pretty much out of here. But I would love to say thank you so much for watching. And if you have enjoyed, you can let me know your thoughts. Write them down there in the comments below. I'll be sure to respond to them. I really love interacting with you guys and talking about Pokemon and all the geeky things that we love here on the channel. So yeah, if I don't see you down there in those comments, I hope to see you in the next one.